What's up guys, welcome back to Marvel Storytime, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Obviously in the past Marvel Storytime episodes it has just been about working on news from the MCU, going over rumours, trying to decide if we think it's a good thing or not, but we obviously can't rely on that every couple of weeks because there just might not be any news. So today we are going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be doing MCU X-Men fan casting. Now this is just actors or actresses I think would be great in certain roles. When I was going over and planning for this video, I didn't really take into account just how many X-Men characters there is. Far too many for one video and far too many for me to work out in one sitting because I would end up just pulling my hair out. So we're going to do multiple parts and we're going to try to keep it to about 10 characters per part. We're also going to hold back on certain characters that are a bit bigger, so we can obviously use them in the thumbnail and all for a part 2, a part 3 possibly. I've got a few rules. The first rule is this is just personally my choice, who I think would be cool in it. You might have seen this person in other people's fan castings, you might not have seen this person even mentioned for the role. It is just my opinion. And it will also be heavily influenced by like certain TV shows I love. It will be influenced by actors or actresses who I think would be perfect for the role. But I will say this now, I'm going to try my very best to keep it a rule that I will not include actors or actresses that have been in the Fox X-Men. Simply because I think the MCU will just do a brand fresh new story that will not include anything from Fox. I might break that rule in part 2 or 3, possibly with Quicksilver, but he is not on this list today, so we're just going to go on and get into it. Now, the first guy, there is only one place to start, and it is with Wolverine. Now, as you guys know, Wolverine, played by Hugh Jackman, he's irreplaceable essentially. He's the one guy on this list whoever plays Wolverine after him is just going to keep getting bashed on their performance. No matter what, he could be fantastic, but he's just going to keep getting bashed. My fan cast for him is one that's been everywhere. Everybody said this at one point or at another, and I think it's actually at a point where he's even said himself that it's probably too late for that. It is Taron Egerton. Obviously you know him from the likes of Kingsman, Eddie Legal, everything like that. He has shown that he has got range. He's a fantastic actor. He's a bit shorter in stature. He can get built like a tank for any role he does, and he brings a kind of intensity to his roles that not many people can reach, and that is what Wolverine is. He's an unbelievably intense character. He would be perfect for the role. Whether that time is now past and they've waited too long to strike, I don't know. I'm hoping not. I think he could definitely do Wolverine for about 10 years and then we could multiverse it up and get someone different in if he doesn't feel like he can physically do it anymore. But I think we should be at a point now where our Wolverines, like Hugh Jackman always wanted to be that in shape because Fox just insisted on always having him topless. But I think going forward, I think the MCU is leaning more now into comic book suits now more than ever. Obviously every character is getting like a comic book iteration of their suit, and Wolverine could just always be like dressed in his yellow and blue suit. You're going to see Hugh Jackman wearing the comic suit in Deadpool and Wolverine, so you could do the same for Taron, and he wouldn't have to be crazy in shape. It could have built-in muscles, it could have everything, and I think he'd be perfect for the role. Moving on, I'm trying to decide who to go for next. We'll go straight for Cyclops. I've obviously said Cyclops. I've talked about him in previous episodes of Marvel Storytime. We've went over the rumours quite a few times. Henry Cavill, I think, should play Cyclops. I've been sitting with that rumour for like probably close to over a month now since recording this, since it was first reported. And I just don't see a world where it's a bad idea. I think he'd be fantastic. I think if you had Taron Egerton as your Wolverine, and he's obviously short in stature, and then you had a big man mountain like Henry Cavill as your Cyclops, who is the leader of the X-Men. He is the one that demands the most respect. I honestly think it would be perfect. I honestly do. There's also enough of a contrast between Henry Cavill and Taron Egerton, like physically and stature, where like a Jean Grey would be conflicted between the two. It's not just two big muscly men, like 6 foot something, but it would just be Henry Cavill would be a fantastic leader for the MCU X-Men, in my opinion. And I could honestly see this X-Men franchise. I don't think it'll just be X-Men movies. I actually think they'll start using X-Men movies in the MCU as like their version of an Avengers movie, because you will see individual X-Men projects. I think you'll see a Cyclops project, whether that be a TV show or film. You'll definitely see a Wolverine project. You might get a Professor X and Magneto film team up, and you'll have a few mutants sprinkled in each of those projects, just so we get covered the whole roster, because let's be honest, there's too many X-Men characters out there to include in one X-Men movie and give the proper amount of story time to. So Henry Cavill, I think, would be fantastic for the role. I won't touch on it much more because we've obviously spoke at length about Henry Cavill. Obviously, with Cyclops, you have to talk about Jean Grey. This is one on my list that I actually... It was probably the toughest. I'm not even 100% liking my choice, but I just looking around Hollywood, I didn't really think of any other people. I will say this one that I landed on, but I'll also say one that is like an outsider. I went for Bryce Dallas Howard. Obviously, Bryce Dallas Howard, you've seen her in the likes of Jurassic World, and you know she can be a leading lady. Well, it's more because as well, like, she would be closer in age range to the likes of a Henry Cavill. So I didn't want to go for a younger Jean Grey. Originally, when I tried to fan cast the MCU's X-Men, I was starting to think about, do I make all of them like Jean Grey and all really, really young? And they're so they can really carry the franchise for 20 plus years. And I originally had Sadie Sink in my head, obviously from Stranger Things, but I just think she's a bit too young. And then I would have had to have went for a young Cyclops. And I think Henry Cavill's your guy. If he's going to be leader of the X-Men, he has to be ready to go from the get-go. So Bryce Dallas Howard is who I landed on. One person I thought actually could have maybe done it. It's someone who's already got a massive role in the MCU, but they might not be around that much anymore. Karen Gillan. Obviously she plays Nebula. I do understand that, but if she showed up just without blue painted all over her and played Jean Grey and did her normal, well, maybe not her normal Scottish voice, but like put on an American accent, would you know any different? Like, really? Like, obviously diehard fans will be like, oh, that's Nebula. But don't forget that I think all these X-Men characters are coming from another universe, so they will be variants, and that means they can look exactly like people already in the MCU and be a different person, because there's another actress on this list who has been in the MCU before, as a very, very, very small character, don't get me wrong, but she's been in the MCU before. But I'm not even going to say she's a variant, I'm just going to say she's a different person, but we'll get to that in a second. So Bryce Dallas Howard would be the one I would land on if Karen Gillan didn't want to come back. But if she does, and she'd be up, if she was up for it, I think she would be a fantastic Jean Grey. Now let me know what you guys think in the comments about that. Obviously I was saying there about another actress. I don't think I've actually got it on this list. Yeah, no I do. Rogue. Obviously Rogue. She was a very, very big part in the original Fox X-Men trilogy. Massive part. But then they sort of started just phasing her out. And then in the comics, obviously she's a massive character. But I would go for someone on the younger side for Rogue. And I would also go for someone who, as I said, has been in the MCU already. I would go for Jenna Ortega. Obviously, she has reached such superstardom recently with the likes of Wednesday and all, and she's going to be in Beetlejuice 2. Like, she's everywhere at the minute. She can't turn around and see a film without her in it. I think she would be the type of actress who would be brilliant as Rogue, I really do. I think she has to be in the MCU at some point as a big character. So why not now? I think the X-Men roster is when you're going to see these up-and-coming actors and actresses all over Hollywood really getting big roles and hitting their stride and getting their own project and getting out there. Obviously, she played, I think, the President's daughter in Iron Man 3 when he was working with the fake Mandarin to get new limbs. And I think obviously because she was such a minor character in that, I think you could easily just have her in the X-Men. I don't think it's that much of a big deal. But if it really was, you could just say, yeah, that's a variant of the President's daughter. She's just rogue or something like that along them lines. But I think I was happy with that. I actually flip-flopped between her and Millie Bobby Brown. Obviously both iconic Netflix actresses at the minute. But I'll be saving Millie Bobby Brown for another role in another video. Don't you guys worry about that. Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler, it was a bit of a tough one. I had one actor in my head the whole time, and the only issue I had with it is I know this character probably isn't going to get like a lot of spotlight in any movie he's in, or he's not going to get like his own project the way some other people will. I think Nightcrawler should be played by Rami Malek. Obviously, as I've just explained, he's an Oscar winner. He is now a massive actor. So asking him to come in and play a character who, like, he's going to be, he could have lots of lines, lots of screen time, but he's not going to be like, he's not going to be the star. He's not going to be like the one that stands out. So it was a tough one, but I couldn't think of anybody else to play Nightcrawler. I really couldn't. I think he would be absolutely perfect. I've only seen a few fan castings of him playing it, and I thought they were spot on too. I think he would be absolutely perfect for it, and he would bring a good bit of legitimacy to Nightcrawler as well. Who have we got? I'll go Gambit. We've got Gambit on the list. Now, the other thing I need to explain is, like, obviously I think a lot of these X-Men are going to be pulled and grabbed from different universes after Secret Wars. I think it'll be unlikely we get a complete X-Men team all brought over together. I don't think we're going to see the likes of the relationships that have blossomed in X-Men 97, because there will be severe age differences in a lot of my characters. My one for Gambit is one that's been all over the internet simply because he was meant to get his own movie as Gambit with the Fox Studios, and I think he could play Gambit for at least 10 years because he's just ultimately always looking youthful. It's Channing Tatum. If Channing Tatum can get the accent down, and he must think he can if he was pushing so hard to play Gambit for Fox, and if they were going to greenlight a movie for him, then I would give him the role. I think he's got the charisma to play him. I think he's obviously very in shape. He could do all the action set pieces. I think he's just, like, the thing about Gambit is he's just an absolute badass who literally just, he's so witty and so funny and comes off with some outrageous things, and I think that's just Channing Tatum all over. If you look at Channing Tatum and look at the X-Men 97 cartoon, they could be the same person. I honestly think he would be perfect for it. I think if you just give this man his chance, like the Fox should have done earlier, if you give him a chance for about give him 10 years as Gambit, he will not look any different this time in 10 years, in my opinion. In Hollywood now, everyone just looks universally youthful. Just look at Paul Rudd. He's what, 55? Gonna be 60 in 5 years. He'll still look the same. So give Channing Tatum his chance. Trying to work out how many more we've got. We've got 4 more. Iceman. I went for Joe Carey from Stranger Things. Obviously, he plays Steve. Steve is what probably, arguably, the most iconic character in Stranger Things at this point. He's just universally adored. There's just like a quality he has, and he showed it in the movies he's done as well, and the likes of Free Guy, where he's just so likable. And I think Iceman is like, he's not like a badass character, but he can be when he needs to be. I think he's just got this bit of like innocence to him. And Joe Carey could definitely do that, but he could definitely play the broken role. He could definitely be heartbroken when one of the many females in the X-Mansion break his heart. I think Joe Carey could be brilliant as Iceman. And I also think, because I think in the MCU X-Men films, I think Iceman is going to have a very, I'm not going to say close relationship, but like a very love-hate relationship with Pyro. Obviously, ice versus fire, you know, it writes itself. And the original Fox trilogy did sort of hint at having a bit of a friendship there, but they didn't really give it that much time because, you know, you have to give all the time to Wolverine. For Pyro, I have got Cameron Monaghan. Over the past 10-11 years, like from shows like Gotham, where he played the Joker, essentially, like not officially, but he did. He obviously played Ian in Shameless, and he obviously he's the face of, I think, Star Wars: The Last Jedi. No, one of the Star Wars games. He is absolutely a fantastic actor. He can play the nice guy. He can play the unhinged villain so well, and he could easily flip-flop between the two. Obviously, he's Pyro, fire. He's got red hair. I didn't take that into my decision making, but yeah, that's how it turned out. I think Cameron and Joe Carey, I honestly think if they were acting together as them two characters, I think it would be just magic, to be honest. I think them two actors would absolutely knock it out of the park, because I've only seen both of them play such different roles to each other. Obviously Steve's in the sci-fi world and Stranger Things, and Cameron's a lot more grounded, but he's played like comic book villain before. I think they'd be absolutely brilliant together, but also acting so differently. I think them two together would be perfect casting. If one gets announced as in the cast, I want to see the other one, that's for sure. Moving on, there's two more, and we've got the big two. I'm going to start off with Professor X, because I think my Magneto fan casting is a lot more controversial. So we'll finish on that. Professor X, I have got Mark Strong. Now, I know Mark Strong has been rumoured before. I've literally used the thumbnail with him on this video. I think it looks enough like Mark Strong for sure. I think he would be fantastic. I wouldn't even change his accent. I would keep full English or Scottish, sorry. I would keep full British, we'll just say. I would let him just do his thing. I think he's a fantastic actor. I think he would be able to be in the films for 10-15 years easy. Like, Professor X doesn't exactly see a lot of action, so obviously you just need a really good actor who can go about in a wheelchair. Not to sound harsh, but Mark Strong's your guy. Like, in the likes of The Kingsman, again, we've mentioned that film a couple of times. When he played the villain in Shazam, he's just a fantastic, intense actor, and I really think if you give him a role like this, you would see him shine. He would be incredible. You really would. And I've went for a British actor because with Magneto, now this is one, like, I'd mentioned it to someone before, and they were not on board at all. My first pick, I have two actors here. I'm gonna say the one I think is less likely. He's not my choice, but I think you should give him a good role. He's not the British one. It is Anthony Starr. Obviously, a lot of you guys know him as Homelander. I know people would say, it's like, oh, you're just like pinholing him into another comic book villain role. Like, he would just play it as Homelander. I disagree. I think Anthony Starr is a fantastic actor. I think he would bring so much intensity to Magneto, and also he would borrow some things from Homelander that he can do unhinged intensity. Like, you might not agree with his methods, but you can see why his head is there. He is so messed up, he is so messed with, and he is so dangerous if you do not keep him on side. And Magneto, if he was either working with Mark Strong's Professor X or working against it, he would be fantastic in either role. And apparently, I think the rumours were saying that Mr. Sinister is going to be the main villain of the first MCU X-Men film, which means Magneto probably will be on the good guy team for a bit. But we all know, watching the Fox universe, they'll just flip-flop and make him bad whenever suits. But my main choice for Magneto, and it does lean into the British thing. It's an actor who I have loved all the way through the Walking Dead TV show. I'm sure a lot of people who are listening, who have just heard that, can work it out. I think I would give it to Andrew Lincoln. I really, really do. One thing that Andrew Lincoln has shown, like, and I know it's a zombie show, I know it doesn't get any awards, I know it doesn't get any recognition, but the Andrew Lincoln's acting in The Walking Dead is second to none. If The Walking Dead wasn't about zombies, it was about something else. If it was like a Breaking Bad type show, but it had the same acting quality, Andrew Lincoln would have more Emmys than anybody around. That is absolute for sure. Andrew Lincoln is an absolute powerhouse, and I think he could really bring sympathy to Magneto, but while doing stuff that a lot of viewers would not agree with, but you would understand why he's doing what he's doing. That is absolutely for sure. I just think he'd be fantastic. I could honestly picture him wearing the Magneto helmet on screen with Mark Strong's Professor X just in his wheelchair, just arguing, and I can picture that, and it would make me very excited for the X-Men universe. It really would, because let's be realistic. One thing that the MCU has to do, they have to get this casting right. They really do. They've only got one shot at this. Luckily, the Fox ruined like the past 2 or 3 X-Men films so much that we're at a point where now people are ready for a fresh take on it with different actors and all. But I still really think the MCU just has to get it right. They can't be doing anything silly. They can't be like gender swapping roles. They can't be race swapping roles. They can't be doing anything like that. They have to play it like it is in the comics. You can change up the storylines, you can go your own creative direction, but you have to do the characters on the page justice. You just do. And I think with my fan casting of these 10 characters here, I think it does that. But obviously I understand this is just my opinion. If you guys would like to comment down below about who you guys would choose, I would 100% love to hear it, because I love going over this stuff. I love seeing who people think would be great in the roles, and then like there could be some comments I look at and think, flip, yeah, they would be better, fair enough, and I'll reply to every comment, I honestly will. I just love talking about this stuff, but that's the first 10, guys. Keep an eye out for part 2, it should come probably in the next couple of weeks, I would assume. But thanks for watching, I really do appreciate it. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff you guys do so well, and I shall see you on the next one.